Hi, beautiful friends. Okay, I wanted to talk to you all today about reclaiming this realm and some of the ways that we are here to do this. So, I'm feeling a little bit, to be totally transparent, I'm feeling like some of the energies that are coming in right now are so expansive and so big that, like, as usual, per typical Amy, I'm finding it kind of hard to bring it down into relatable languaging. And I'm like talking to my guides, my higher self, and like, can't I just meditate on a mountaintop and just deliver frequencies, please? And they're like, no, you chose to be a speaker, so speak. So, okay. What I'm feeling in the collective right now, in the human collective and earth grid within this like holographic toroidal field, is a shift towards the need to actively reclaim this realm. And I shared in my most recent podcast solo episode, it came out like a week ago tomorrow. So if you haven't listened to it yet, that'll be good supplementary material to understand what I'm talking about. But I talked about the false matrix mainframe that we are all hooked into to some degree or another. Well, most of us. I feel like I'm emancipated, but I'm sure there are still trauma frequencies that get in here and there. They just don't take me down the way that they used to. And that's the objective that we're moving towards. But I was talking in that podcast episode about this shift that I feel towards the reclamation of this realm. But we have to do it from an active ground level. And then I got even more downloads and showed up here live to talk about not condemning our human lives, our imperfect human lives, because it is through our imperfect human lives that we are bringing down a massive amount of light and love frequencies, grace frequencies, forgiveness frequencies, truth frequencies, things that we don't even necessarily understand on a conscious level. We are bringing them down into this realm through our human body. So, a truth that I am understanding is that many of us, those of you who are drawn to, oh, hi, I'm just noticing all of you who are here. It makes me so happy. Those of you who are drawn to listen to me talk and receive messages like this, I love you so much. I can't even say. We are of a very, very, very high dimensional consciousness. Even if you feel like your human self has just recently woken up. I'm getting a lot of those messages lately of people being like, I feel like I literally just woke up like 5 minutes ago or 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago or whatever. None of that matters. Do you understand? Like, that is just a linear time-based perspective that we have by virtue of being in human experiences. But linear time is it's not really real. God, I hate having to use those words because it sounds so repetitive. Like, we've heard it from so many people. Time isn't real. Time isn't real. And what does that even mean? It means that when you're in a dream, when you're dreaming, you're like literally I'm not talking about like, oh, it's a dream. I mean, like when you're asleep at night and you're having a dream, within your dream, there is an experience of events that feels sequential, that feels like it's rooted in time. But when you wake up and you try to explain that dream to somebody, you realize, it doesn't really, like it didn't really actually follow like a sequential narrative in the same way that, you thought it did at the time, So it's kind of like that. We experience time in a linear way, and that is real because we experience it, but it also is not anything that we need to be limited by. So a lot of people are saying that they're waking up recently, and a lot of us have also been on this path for a long time, but regardless, we're very, 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 very high dimensional consciousness. And last week I was connecting to the time when we came as star beings, or we came as angels, we came meaning we weren't physical. We came down in more of our true form from outside of this realm. We came into the realm and we came to have a role, a supportive role, to offer assistance, to offer wisdom, healing, whatever it is. And the humans that we came to help, who are not actually separate from us, which is why we came at all. I'm so distracted right now. P.S. by my daughter crying in the background. The humans couldn't really receive what we were offering because it felt too lofty to them. It felt too ungrounded. It felt like, it's the way we often feel at the beginning of our awakening journeys or before our awakening journeys, when somebody talks to us about God's love, or, have you accepted Christ into your heart? Or, the universe is benevolent. The universe has your back. Everything happens for a reason. It feels very abstract and very much just like a nice kind of Pollyanna sentiment. But the truth is that when you're in the grind, you're deep in the grind of having to pay for your own fucking existence, it feels very unapplicable, doesn't it? And especially if someone comes and says that to you and you perceive that they have a good life and they're in a place of abundance and surplus and they don't ever have to worry about money, say, or they don't have to worry about like physical illness, or, their wife isn't, trying to divorce them or whatever. It's even easier. The messages, which are very often very, very well-meaning and full of truth, because we're just in this place where we can't relate to where the messenger is. So a lot of us have been coming here the solar activity is really, really, really messing with my my Wi-Fi and my data lately. Anyway, so it wasn't until we came down into human bodies to live in the reality of a human life and what that means. It wasn't until then that some of the messages that we've been trying to offer can be received. And even they might not even be received by other humans on a consciousness level. So reclaiming this realm is absolutely not about convincing other people to see it the way that we see it. Because, like I was just illustrating, somebody has to want it. They have to come to it on their own. To hammer your truth into somebody is to push them farther away from it. And I'm sure probably it's like, 3/4 of the way through 2022. We've probably all figured that out by now, haven't we? Over the last couple of years, we've figured out that we just cannot evangelize to others. That's not reclaiming this realm. But being in our human forms allows us to offer a frequency option that was not previously available. And that inherently, by definition, means living the duality of being an extremely high consciousness being. And again, you don't have to remember what that means. You don't have to, your conscious mind doesn't have to be on board for you to be a high consciousness being and to be having this level of impact in the world. But it's nice when it is on board. But being a very high consciousness being first of all, what we're doing right now, and I mean most of us, for most of us, many of us, our conscious mind is coming back on board. We are starting to remember. We are starting to remember our alternate lives, our past lives, different points in the human, chronological timeline. We are remembering our alternate selves in other dimensions and galaxies. Personally, I believe that many of us are angelics, many of us. And I know that kind of common new age narrative is that angelic consciousness doesn't incarnate here. And I believe that at a point that was totally true because the density was way too much. And so we had to have almost like first we had to have a bunch of other higher dimensional beings like Pleiadians, Arcturians, Sirians, Lyrans, Andromedans, Antarans, Polarians, whatever. All of them come and incarnate here first. That was not an exhaustive list, by the way. And they kind of raised the frequency so that angelic consciousness could come in. And P.S., like if you're a Pleiadian, if you understand yourself as a Pleiadian, you probably have an angelic aspect as well. Like we aren't in one place at a time. We are in all the places at once. And we are continuously opening up to allow more of that higher divine consciousness to come through. And so we're beginning to remember our origins, or the rest of ourselves would be a better way of putting it. And as we do that, we hold the duality of being in a human world, in a human life, subject to trauma, subject to so much false programming, so many I think maybe I complained about this last week. I don't know. There are a couple times that I tried to record things and then, my son woke up and he was sick or whatever. So I had to restart. So I apologize if I'm repeating a lot of things that I've already shared recently. But calendars, what the literal fuck? What? Calendars? What is this shit? I'm looking at my calendar and I'm like, I can feel that no part of this is actually a reflection of reality at all. Like the real reality of this realm. It makes no sense. Calendars make no sense. Of course, you can make the argument that we have to have time so that we can make appointments and show up at the same time to these appointments. And yes, all that is true to an extent. But it is not that... It's it's the things we need to do to exist in a hijacked system. It doesn't, that's not actually how it needs to work in the reality of the blueprint that we are encoded with and this realm is encoded with. But here we are functioning with stupid systems like calendars and, 24-hour clocks. You can probably feel in your body, in your psyche, in your own cyclical rhythms that 30 days in the month, or more commonly 31 days in the month, and then every 4 years there's 1 month with 29 days, and then the other 3 years it has 28 days. That's nonsense. It's total nonsense. So we're living within, the confines of these systems, these hijacked systems. We're living within the confines of the way that money is used. And man, I have so much to say about money. I'm going to be going live every day this week because I want to. And Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about money. I'll probably be doing it here, but I don't know. It'll get posted here if I'm not talking about it here. But I'm going to be talking about money, what I understand about money, how I have healed my relationship with money, how I truly, truly, truly feel like I love money because I feel the genuine energy that money is. And I totally see the way that it has been hijacked and the way that it keeps us in a state of trauma and survival. And here we are, as I said, paying for our fucking existence. How much bullshit is that? That you were just born and now you have to somehow pay for it for the rest of ever. It's, we have these systems, these hijacked systems, and they're ridiculous. But in order for us to do our work and be as impactful as we are here to be, we had to come into these systems and experience them. Otherwise, you know, like people do this with their spirit guides all the time. Their spirit guides are like, I'm like bleeding heart, like I'm giving, I give. I want to give to you so wholly and fully, give you everything that I have. And we're just like not receiving it because we're like, meanwhile, I'm here friggin' working at a job that I hate to pay my bills. I don't have time for your messages, spirit guides, or I don't even detect you, spirit guides. So, in order to reclaim this realm, many of us have chosen to enter into, at various points along the way, these human vessels, these human incarnations. I kind of wish that I'd made notes before starting this one, because I feel like I could go in 1,000 different directions. Always trying to pull it in, Amy, trying to keep it on the same track. We came into these human incarnations to experience the reality of being here and to understand truly the degree of suffering that is experienced here and the degree of hijacking, the degree of trauma, to understand the human mentality, so that when we become channels and vessels for the light, as we are actively doing right now, it can be received. For example, if I was just manifesting to you as a light being right now, instead of like deeply enmeshed in a human physical body, and that's all, you just knew me as a light being, some of you would believe me. A whole bunch of you would like experience insane cognitive dissonance and try to figure out a million ways to disprove me, and you wouldn't even hear anything that I'm trying to say, because first of all, who are you, you stupid light being? You don't have to eat. You don't have to pay for shelter. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to work. But also, you're probably not even real. You're probably like, you know, some virtual reality Elon Musk projection or something like that. So here I am in a human form, and here you are in a human form. And we are vessels for an incredible amount of light and healing towards the reclamation of this realm. And so don't be distracted, don't be discouraged by the reality of your human life and it not being perfect and it being a mess. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make you any less effective. In fact, it is what makes you effective. All of the scenarios of messiness in your life are portals, opportunities for you to bring this amount of light in. If your life was totally perfect and like there was not a wrinkle in your life, everything, every need was met, every manifestation was instant and beautiful, where would you bring the light into? You need those little places of darkness and contraction and trauma within yourself to anchor the light in at a cellular level, at a molecular level, an atomic level, a subatomic level. That is where we bring the light in. And then furthermore, in reclaiming this realm, we are also becoming like literal lightning rods for the light. We're doing this grid work just by existing and being willing to listen to the impulses that we receive to go into particular places in the world. Some of us are very drawn to particular places in nature, but also we may be drawn to particular cities. It might not be a nature-y place at all. It might be an urban place. It doesn't matter. It's still connected to a grid point on the earth. And your presence there, your ability to like be with it, to open your eyes and see it and feel it and engage with it, interact with it from a state of openness and grace, brings in so much light, which comes out through, first of all, it comes through your hairline. So, it comes from way higher dimensions, way higher dimensions, down through your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral, your root, down all the way through your feet and your earth star chakra, and deep down into the mother. So you, just by being willing to respond to the impulses that come to you to go to this place or that place. Go see this person, go see that person. It's very much like in the Harry Potter movie. It was the 6th one when he won the Felix Felicis potion in potions class. When, what was that guy's name? Oh, Professor Slughorn was the professor. And he won that potion by making the best other potion. And the Felix Felicis was called Liquid Luck. And in the movie and in the book, you know, whatever, they had a plan. Ron and Hermione helped Harry come up with a plan because he had an objective. And when he took the potion, it's like he was overcome by the impulse to just go to Hagrid's. Go to Hagrid's place. When we listen to those impulses we're having, even if our human mind, like he didn't know why he wanted to go to Hagrid's. He was just like, it's just the place to be. When we listen to those impulses that we're receiving these days, we are allowing ourselves to be used as part of a greater orchestration of events. It's like we're allowing ourselves to be directed by the current of light to go where it needs us to go towards the reclamation of this realm. And maybe I should pause and even talk about, like, what do I mean by the reclamation of this realm? I just recorded on Zoom a bonus for that last podcast episode for my Patreon, offering visuals to explain the way that I understand this true holographic realm to work versus the way that the false matrix overlay works. And it's like, oh man, so intense. The hologram itself is so beautiful. So beautiful. It is this like positive feedback mechanism where we receive those impulses from higher dimensions, our higher dimensional self, and they emanate through us as these beautiful patterns, and they deliver out to the hologram, and then the hologram receives those patterns and rearranges itself to then reflect those patterns back to us in a way that we could never have planned for. We could never have orchestrated from our conscious minds. We could never imagine, but it's all to surprise and delight us. And then we engage with it and we receive it through our nervous system, through our sight, our smell, our taste, our touch, our hearing. We receive it through our chakras, and then we send it back up. It's this beautiful looping mechanism. And that's the way it's supposed to work. But for most of us, that's not the way it works at all, because there's this false matrix overlay. It's kind of shaped like a dome. You should really check it out. You really should check it out, because as usual, I went deep. I told myself it was going to be 20 minutes long. No, it was way longer than that. I don't know how long, but anyway, I deep dove because it's what I do. It makes it really hard for me to do reels, honestly. It's like, how do I fit all this into 90 seconds? Impossible. Anyway, I talk about the shape, the patterning of the false matrix overlay and how it has us hooked in and how it feeds trauma frequencies to us. It severs us. It severs our connection at the crown and the root so that we can't connect in with like the higher dimensional, like cosmic divine masculine and the lower dimensional cosmic divine feminine. And P.S., higher dimensions are not better than lower dimensions. It's just like the divine feminine is like the mother frequency that goes down, 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 down into, like deep into this realm, into like incarnation. And the divine masculine is the one that like pulls us up into higher like disincarnated realms, but they're both equally, you cannot have one without the other. They are perfect. So anyway, the false matrix overlay like hooks us in at our crown, hooks us in at our root, and delivers trauma frequencies. And I go into this whole explanation about it. But towards the end, when I was talking about reclaiming this realm, I got into this zone where I was like, something that came through to me just over the last 5 days or so is that On one hand, yes, we absolutely are unhooking ourselves from the false matrix. We are emancipating ourselves from the false matrix. We are learning how to recognize those hooks, recognize those false trauma frequencies, and basically call their bluff. And that doesn't mean saying that they aren't real insofar as we aren't experiencing them. Like if somebody like punches you in the face, and that's one of the ways that your trauma frequencies manifest, I'm not saying you getting punched in the face isn't real. I'm just saying, like, calling the bluff of it means like, I see it for what it is. I see that it is the false matrix. It isn't this actual realm. It isn't the hologram. It isn't that humans are all just shitbags and that we should be ashamed of ourselves. It's that we are like suspended on horrible meat hooks and we're having these frequencies delivered into us. And so many of us are so traumatized that we can't even remember anything about who we are or anything about this realm or anything about, what exists outside of this realm. We're just in such a state of profound terror and trauma. It's being able to see through it and then hold in your heart a state of grace where, like I'm not saying, I think that's what it means when they say like Jesus said to turn the other cheek. I don't know that Jesus actually meant like, oh, you punched me in the face here, like just beat the shit out of me, I'll just take it. Like that is such a misunderstanding. I believe that what was actually being communicated, the code that was coming through, is that it's like you can see the false matrix. You can see that pain layer that is animating your sacred brother or your sacred sister, whoever threw the punch. And that your heart is so resonant with the truth that you can, on one hand, receive that, sensory input. You can be present in that experience, but also have your heart be open to like so much truth that you can see beyond it and not take it personally. And not only not take it personally, but also like bring frequencies of healing and bring frequencies of forgiveness. And again, forgiveness is not condoning. It's not saying like, keep beating me up. It's like, I see the whole thing for what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see you for what you are. I see this for what it is. I see the mess that we're in. And beyond that even, I see what this realm is supposed to be. I see that it is worth reclaiming. It is worth saving. I see that my sacred brothers and sisters and non-binary identifying kinfolk are worth saving and reclaiming. But I am not a savior. I am not saving any of you. All I can do is save myself. All I can do is see at this level of clarity. All I can do is hold this frequency of grace and love and forgiveness and capital T truth. And hold this frequency steadily. And allow any other aspect of creation, any other fragments of consciousness that are ready to also calibrate to this frequency, I allow them to come closer to me, like a moth to a flame, but they won't get burnt. They will be absolved and resolved and dissolved. The whole illusion will be dissolved within the portal of our heart that we hold wide open, even as we exist in the intensity of this world. And so we are here to disconnect ourselves from the false matrix, and yet that is a process that happens over and over as we learn how to call the bluff of the false matrix. This is kind of a silly example, but this is the one that really drove all of this home for me. This is actually the one that triggered my realization that this is how it all works. Is I had just decided, I was working with my first coach because I knew I was not going to keep working as a midwife. I knew that I was going to start doing this. And I had so many fears. I was super hooked into the false matrix. I had so many fears. Past life fears, current life fears, so many trauma programs running. And so I was working with somebody to help remind me of the truth when I was like really overwhelmed by my own stuff. And it felt like a really big investment at the time. It felt like it was hard for me to make that investment because it activated all kinds of things I had inside myself, stories about being irresponsible with money and unrealistic and, blah, 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 right? So I was making this investment and secretly inside I was like, oh my God, like if my parents knew that I was spending this money, if blah, 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 and like, stories about me being irresponsible. And so I had worked with her for 3 months and so it was the time she worked in 3-month chunks, and it was the time to either decide to leave or re-up. And I was like, I think I need to keep working with her. Like this isn't done. So anyway, so I reinvested, made that decision again, all kinds of fears. Blah. And the battery and the catalytic converter in my car both like kaputted on me at the exact same time while I was driving to a birth in the middle of a rural area, literally in the middle of the night. And so I had to pay to have those replaced. And I realized, in that moment, oh, this is a trauma frequency that is designed to collapse my belief in myself and bring me back into the fold of fear and doubt and paralysis, so that I feel so triggered by this big financial, like scary, unexpected cost just after I've decided to invest in myself in this way that is not like official according to society. I just suddenly could see it so clearly. It was just like, fuck, the Eye of Sauron sees me and is like delivering a trauma frequency right in my pain points, right in my fear points, to bring me back down, to keep me small, to collapse me back into a state of paralysis and just being like a good little girl and settling for what I've got and not ever aiming for anything higher. And again, like for me, this is not about money. None of this has ever been about money. For me, this is like, I fucking know that if I get to the end of this life and I didn't fully 100% show up for my mission of the whole reason that I incarnated in the first place, oh God, I'm going to be so angry with myself. Like this Amy that I came into is the fucking perfect vessel for this mission. If I waste her, it doesn't matter if I get to have other lives. If I waste her life, I'm going to be so mad. So for me, this is never about money. It's about the like, I have this thing inside me that I have to fulfill. I have to fulfill it. I literally remember that feeling like when I was 2, knowing that I was here for a reason and just being like, I'm ready to get going. And I'm 2. Damn it. God, I'm going to have to wait for a long time to be able to really do this. So, but didn't I pick up so much money trauma here? Haven't we all picked up so much money trauma and other kinds of trauma, right? Trauma around my throat chakra. Total fear. I think my first life ever here was during the Spanish Inquisition. And it was so intense and so god-awful to witness the torture, like the literal, physical, horrendous torture that was happening here. That imprinted fear in me. Like just coming in and witnessing that hooked me into the mainframe. That alone. So, it's not like, man, we all have money wounding, but we have all kinds of wounding. We have sexual misery and trauma wounding. We have heart wall wounding. We have ego wounding. We have like physical body susceptibility, mortality, pain, suffering wounding. We have religions that have, misguided us and lied to us, knowingly or unknowingly. We have that kind of wounding. We have so much wounding, right? So mine, the one that really triggered me to how this all works, was around money. But I was able to see and recognize and realize, like, whoa. And I still had to pay for a new catalytic converter and a new battery. Like, I'm not saying that just because I figured that out, I dissolved the illusion and, I didn't have to. Yeah, I still had to pay for that. I don't even remember where the money came from because it was a long time ago. It was like 4 years ago or something like that, but it happened. The money came in. So I was able to pay for it. And that's what allows me to recognize now, even though similar, like, it's like the Eye of Sauron is really weak. It has a very weak connection to me. So it really can't feel where I'm barely hooked in anymore. So it really can't feel where my trauma things are so much anymore. So it just sends these like weak little shock waves out. And I'm like, pfft. Like, I literally notice right away. And I just like, psh, psh, with a water pistol, like, get out of here. I totally recognize it. But it was a process to get there. But what I'm realizing, what I'm trying to get at, what I realized over the last 5 days was like, in the process of the gradual process of unhooking myself from the false matrix mainframe, I also have delivered so much healing into it. And so are you. So are you delivering so much healing. So it's to the point now where we don't even have to separate ourselves from the mainframe. That is the ultimate objective. But like, what I'm saying is you don't have to get unhooked first in order to be okay. You just go through the process of unhooking yourself and bring in as much light as possible. And then you start feeding light frequencies into the mainframe and it starts healing. It's kind of like, it's got these little hooks into us like this. And what we're doing as we send our consciousness and our light into it is we're like relaxing the grip of the hooks and softening it up so that, it softens and weakens and releases us. And then it gets less and less of our energy and it kind of like powers down. That's what we're doing. And I believe that like going back to what I was saying before, we're very, very high dimensional consciousness beings. Those of you who would spend this time with me and listen to me, like all the way up into the Christ consciousness field, the angelic realm, the Akashic field, the like high dimensional galactic realms, and all the interim places in between, because none of it sounds hierarchical, but it's not. It really isn't. It's just like, what it is seeing from such an elevated perspective that it's like when you're in the 12th dimensional field, you just see it from so high up that's why, as I'm describing, like you can have the person punch you in the face, which hopefully you're not having that, but it's just, some people are. You can have the person punching you in the face and your heart can be open. You can be like, oh, brother, like I see everything that's happening. I see the whole thing. I see it all. And no, you can't keep punching me, but I still love you. I love you. And I forgive you automatically, right away. You don't even have to ask. You don't even have to want it. I forgive you. And by forgiveness, I mean like we just release each other from the bondage of, when we don't forgive ourselves and we don't forgive others, we hold ourselves and others in bondage. That's what the fucking karmic wheel is all about. It's like being stuck in these lower frequencies of revenge and anger and jealousy and hatred and bigotry. Like that's bondage. It's bondage. So when we forgive, it releases that bondage and we are allowed to like expand into the fullness of all that we are again, and allowing the other to expand into the fullness of all that they are. I also want to mention something about, because somebody asked me in my DMs about whether my program, The Answer, is going to include like releasing parasitic attachments. And It is. I'm going to go through all of the chakras, and guide us through like the releasing and the removal of implants, seals, tags, different things that are embedded in our chakra systems that prevent us from the energy of consciousness cycling freely the way that it is supposed to. So we are going to go into that. But I also want to say, when I was answering her question individually, I was like, oh, what we're really doing though, and this comes back to the mainframe as well, is we are anchoring into a level of our consciousness that's so high that we don't actually need those parasitic entities, so to speak, those seals, implants, actual entities, bots, tags. We don't need them to be gone first in order to embody and access the height of our consciousness and our power. As we access the height of our consciousness and our power, those things that are stuck to us and in us are healed and recoded by us. And I don't believe that this was available 20 years ago. I don't necessarily believe it was available 10 years ago. I believe that this is something that we're newly moving into just over the last roughly 9 or 10 months, maybe longer. I don't know. That's how it feels to me. Because the level of consciousness keeps rising. So before, it's like the Eye of Sauron was so powerful that its parasites could take us all down easily. But the balance has tipped, and the Eye of Sauron is losing power all the time. And we are gaining in our power. And again, our power is a power of love and benevolence and a desire to empower others and to share and to lift each other into a state of exaltation and to create from the most beautiful, multi-dimensional spaces to liberate others, to liberate ourselves, liberate consciousness, to see all children thrive, all plants thrive, all animals thrive, to see our sisters thrive, to see our brothers thrive, to see our elders thrive. When I talk about our power, no part of me is our power. Ooh, we have power. It's our power. It's the power that we have access to through the grace and benevolence of Goddess God. And, I don't love using those terms because I know a lot of us still have really intense triggers around terminology that has been used in a hijacked way. But I hope you understand what I'm getting at. Now the balances have been tipped. And now we are fighting a winning battle. We're still fighting a battle. We're still in it's still go time. It's still happening, and we have to choose it. We cannot rest on our laurels. If we just think that we can just sit back and it's all downhill from here, no, we're not there yet. We're still in it, but the tipping point has been reached. And so now we are able to just be flooded with all this light. All we have to do is open up and calibrate to it. So my process in the answer, sorcery, the answer, is going to be to go through and identify the different implants, seals, tags. A lot of them look like locks that bar our natural gateways, and to bring our awareness to them, but not how do I say it? It's flooding them with so much light that they become first deactivated, and then second, it really looks like recoding. Very similar to if you have seen, I talked about this in my Patreon thing too, with all the visual aids. If you have seen the stuff about Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiments, he experimented with water molecules. It's pretty common knowledge, but some people don't know about it. So if you haven't heard of it, if you're very new on your awakening journey and you haven't stumbled across this yet, like look it up on YouTube. Dr. Masaru, Masaru, Emoto, Emto. Check it out. But anyway, he did experiments with water molecules where, some of the water molecules they had hate frequencies directed at them. And some of them had love frequencies directed at them, or like prayer frequencies, forgiveness frequencies, gratitude frequencies. And you can see the difference. And so it's kind of like, the thing is that everything in this realm is made of the same elemental coding, which we'll also go deeply into in the answer. Everything here is created of the same elemental coding. And when you tap into the pure elemental coding, you start to understand how to recode everything that has been like damaged and corrupted and hijacked. And I tell you what, it's not through hate. It's not through resistance. It's not through destruction. Big surprise. It's through the frequency of love. That frequency is so fucking powerful, everyone. It's so powerful, my friends. It's so powerful. It recodes the same way that, like, there's this one slide where there was a water molecule that was kind of like, like it hadn't, it was before anybody did anything with it. And you can see as it was funneled through. Also, if you have a Gaia subscription, there's a great documentary on Gaia about water that will like just blow your mind with all this. But you can see that the water molecule itself is not in its original blueprint. It's kind of a mess. Probably because it came from like either a polluted source or it came from our piping and stuff, which is not the way it's supposed to move. And then that same water molecule, after it was prayed over, was like beautiful, symmetrical snowflake of like utter and total beauty, sacred geometry, natural sacred geometry. And that is what we do with the love frequency, with everything, all the implants and the seals and the parasitic, things that we have attached to us. When we are in this level of our power, we don't need to get rid of them like, it's a problem, get it off of me. We like raise our frequency, and flood our beings with so much love and high consciousness that those things that are attached to us become recoded, become repatterned, and liberated from the clutches of the illusion of darkness. I think that's all I want to say today. I mean, so fucking long-winded, I could go on forever. But I feel like I hit all of the important things. Ultimately, towards the reclamation of this realm, it is that this realm is stunningly beautiful. It is like, oh God, I wish, it almost feels slightly like a curse to be able to see with so much clarity internally in my inner vision, and like to not know how to. If you're a really gifted artist, but especially like, like a virtual artist, like, you work with like a cool app or some kind of like Photoshop, Procreate, those kind of things, to create like wild images. Hit me up, because I need to get these out so people can see. But my point is, this realm is so, so, so beautiful. It is a record. This realm is a record full of DNA information. DNA is encoding. It is literal codes. It is an encoded record of frequencies, of consciousnesses, of things that have happened. This realm is full of DNA encodement from all over the galaxy as we understand it, all over the universe as we understand it. It is such a sacred, beautiful realm. It is not meant to be lost. It is not like a sacrifice. It is meant to be reclaimed. And the experience we're supposed to have here is so, so free and beautiful. But it lives in the axis of free will, so we must actively choose it. We must choose it. And that doesn't, in choosing it, you don't just choose it once. Everything here is a process. Everything. So we choose it in this moment. We choose it in the next moment. Choose it next. Over and over and over, we choose it. We choose the reclamation of this realm. We choose to see the fullness of this realm for all that it can be, all that it is, all that it was designed to be. And we face the darkness with love. Not with condoning, but with love. Because it is the frequency that recodes and reclaims everything. And we are portals for that. We are beams of love, portals of love, portals of reclamation, emancipation, liberation. We are so powerful. We're so powerful. Okay. If this speaks to you, if you know that you are meant to be on this journey, if you know that you are meant to really bring this into the forefront of your consciousness and work towards a level of internal mastery of your being, of your occupancy of a physical avatar within this realm, your connection with elemental consciousness, that elemental coding, how the different elements work, how we can sync our consciousness with it and move it, harness it and move it, how to create powerfully in a way that is for the highest good of all. It really is the reason I called it sorcery is because it is connecting into the source code of the hologram and the source code beyond the hologram to bring into this space to create from the depth of what this is supposed to be. We have that power. We are not these fucking leaves blowing in the wind, these victims. That's not what we are. We perceive ourselves that way because this is a very intense and painful place to be, but it's not meant to be that. And we are the ones who can reclaim it. And we can't just sit around and wait for the solar flash or for the second coming or whatever. I believe that we are the second coming. I believe that we are this wave of the Christed frequency, of the Christed consciousness, of the angelic realm, of these high dimensional frequencies of consciousness coming onto the earth, embodying a human vessel, living a human life, understanding the toils, and emanating these frequencies through our whole being. I have this program called Sorcery, The Answer, and it is 5 months long. So it starts on August 27th and it goes all the way through until January. So it's going to take us over into the new calendrical year calendars. But really it's in alignment with some astrological configurations, but also I don't really pay that much attention to those. I just conferred with my friend and mentor, Christina Luna, she's amazing. But I feel the energy of it. I receive these transmissions and I know that they are instructions that I'm supposed to share with people They are for me, but they're also for others. And I feel they're like marching orders, but they're also sort of like, if you knew that you were a soldier, which I'm not saying we are, but just for the sake of analogy, if you knew that you were a soldier, but you didn't know, like, what's your mission? Where are you supposed to be deployed? How are you supposed to do it? We need a boot camp. We need training. We need instructions. We need organization. We need network connections. We need to come together with each other and develop relationships with each other and get like fucking tight, you know? Like we have to do this. It's no good to just be on your own and be like, I'm an indigo soldier. I'm an indigo warrior. I am an angelic. I am a priestess. I am a wizard. I am, like whatever. I'm a creator. So many archetypes, right? It's no good to just be that on our own and just have no idea what we're supposed to do with it. So for whatever reason, I think just because I agreed to be a speaker, these things, these instructions have come through to me, and I'm taking a round of people in, and we're going to do like very, very, very deep work on discovering and activating your archetypes, discovering and activating your avatar level consciousness, your higher self consciousness, discovering your galactic, aspects, your angelic or dragon aspects. I mean, that's a whole other thing to go down. Just got a huge download yesterday about dragons and angels. Connecting with your spirit guides, your spirit team, how to channel, like becoming a channel, whatever you want to use that for, be it for healing, be it for readings, be it for like something like for art, for creation, whatever, becoming a channel. Also knowing what field you channel from so that you're not accidentally channeling from the false light, because there are false light fields. And how to discern that, how to receive so much light that if you're not prepared, it will literally fry out our circuits. So it's like how to prepare ourselves, how to open up and receive that light. It is clearing out false programming, clearing out our Akashic field, removing of those implants, tags, seals, gate locks, all those things, clearing out our chakras, activating. I've recently found a whole bunch of other chakras that really make a difference if you bring them online. How to move energy, how to, connect in with the elemental consciousness such that we can work with it to bring about weather patterns, that we can work with it to bring about like changes in in the earth, in the fire element, in the air element. And what is all of this for? I mean, it's so that you can then be a leader, and in whatever capacity feels right for you, that you serve in whatever capacity feels right for you. If it is then to take this information, embody it, and then teach it to others, great. If it is to serve others, to do readings, to bring clarity, to bring healing, to dispel illusion, if it is to open portals, if it is to do grid work, if it is to, like whatever, it is to reclaim this realm. It's the best way that I can put it. There's so much more to this program. I don't even know how to summarize it, but I have literally never felt lit up by anything that I've channeled or created the way that I feel lit up about this. The reason that I'm going to be showing up live every day this week is because I am so fucking excited about this program that I just want to like shout from the rooftops and, say what you need to hear in order to self-select and decide that you are at a level of power where you are ready to join this. So it starts on August 27th. If you have questions about it, if you feel like it's for you and you want more information, then just send me a direct message and I will respond to you. I love you so much. You are so extremely powerful. You've got this. Your human life is an amazing blessing, an amazing gateway for you to bring down massive amounts of light. Bless your human self and know that at the exact same time, you are an extremely high dimensional being. Okay, that's it, soul fam. Love you.